The snow fell in thick, heavy flakes, turning Boston into a Christmas card. But for Sarah Mitchell, it felt more like a nightmare. Her car had died on the side of Route 9, smoke billowing from under the hood. She stood in the freezing cold, her 5-year-old daughter Mia shivering in the back seat, wrapped in every blanket Sarah could find. It was Christmas Eve, 8:30 at night, and the temperature was dropping fast. Sarah's phone showed 2% battery. She'd already called roadside assistance twice. Both times, she'd been told the same thing. Severe weather, multiple accidents, wait time of 3 to 4 hours. She didn't have 3 hours. Mia's medication was at home, and she needed it by 10. Sarah looked up and down the empty highway. No cars, no help, just endless white snow and the kind of silence that made her feel utterly alone. She climbed back into the car, rubbing Mia's cold hands between her own. "Mama, I'm cold," Mia whispered. "I know, baby. Help is coming soon." But Sarah didn't know if that was true. Her phone buzzed with 1% battery. She had maybe 2 minutes left. She tried her ex-husband Marcus one more time. Voicemail. Of course. He was probably at some Christmas party, phone on silent, living his best life while his daughter froze on the side of the road. Sarah felt tears freeze on her cheeks. This was it. This was how low her life had gotten. Fired from her job 3 weeks ago when the marketing firm downsized, behind on rent, no family in the city, and now, stranded on Christmas Eve with her sick daughter and no one to call. Her phone died. Sarah let out a sob she'd been holding in for weeks. Mia looked up at her with those big brown eyes, so much trust and innocence, and Sarah wanted to scream. She was supposed to protect this child. She was supposed to make everything okay. But she couldn't even afford to fix her car. Headlights appeared in the distance. Sarah's heart leaped. She jumped out of the car, waving her arms frantically. The vehicle slowed. It was a black Range Rover, expensive and pristine, the kind of car Sarah would never be able to afford even if she worked for 100 years. The driver's window rolled down. The man inside was striking. Dark hair dusted with snow, sharp jawline, eyes that looked gray even in the dim light. He wore a long black coat that probably cost more than Sarah's rent. Everything about him screamed wealth and power. "Are you all right?" His voice was deep concerned. "My car broke down," Sarah said, her voice shaking from cold and relief. "My daughter needs her medication. We've been stuck here for an hour, and I can't get anyone to help, and my phone just died, and I—" "Get in," he said simply. Sarah hesitated. Every warning her mother ever gave her about strangers flashed through her mind. But Mia needed her medication, and something about this man's eyes made her feel, against all logic, safe. She grabbed Mia in their bags and climbed into the warm vehicle. The heat hit her like a physical force. Mia immediately stopped shivering. "Thank you," Sarah breathed. "Thank you so much." The man was already pulling back onto the highway. "Where do you need to go?" Sarah gave him her address in Dorchester. She saw something flicker across his face. Recognition, maybe. Or judgment. Dorchester wasn't exactly the nice part of town. "I'm Sarah," she offered. "This is Mia." "Nicholas," he replied. He glanced in the rearview mirror at Mia. "How old are you?" "5," Mia said quietly. "It's almost Christmas." "It is," Nicholas agreed. "What did you ask Santa for?" Mia looked at her mother, then back at Nicholas. "I asked him to make Mama stop crying at night." Sarah's heart broke. She tried so hard to hide her breakdowns from Mia, but children noticed everything. Nicholas's jaw tightened, but he didn't say anything. They drove in silence for a while, the snow swirling around them, Christmas lights from houses creating halos of color through the white. "What kind of medication does she need?" Nicholas asked quietly. "Seizure medication," Sarah said. "She has epilepsy. She needs it twice a day, every day, same time. We're cutting it close." Nicholas nodded and drove faster, but not recklessly. Sarah noticed everything about him seemed controlled, precise. His hands on the wheel, the way he checked his mirrors, even the way he breathed seemed measured. They reached Sarah's apartment building 20 minutes later. Nicholas pulled up to the entrance. "Thank you," Sarah said again, gathering Mia. "I don't know how to repay you. You saved us tonight. You don't need to repay me." Nicholas reached into his coat and pulled out a business card. "If you need anything, call that number." Sarah took the card, glancing at it under the streetlight. Her blood ran cold. Nicholas Blackwood, CEO, Blackwood Industries. Blackwood Industries. The tech giant. The company that had just acquired the marketing firm that fired her 3 weeks ago. The company responsible for her unemployment. Sarah looked up at Nicholas Blackwood, the man who'd indirectly destroyed her life, who just saved it, and she didn't know whether to thank him or scream at him. Nicholas seemed to read something in her expression. "What is it?" "Nothing," Sarah lied. "Thank you again." She got out of the car before he could respond. Carrying Mia up the stairs to their third-floor walk-up, she gave Mia her medication, tucked her into bed, and then collapsed on her own mattress, staring at Nicholas Blackwood's business card. The universe had a cruel sense of humor. Christmas morning arrived with pale sunlight and the sound of Mia's excited shriek. Sarah dragged herself out of bed to find Mia staring out the window. "Mama, look." Sarah looked. Her broken-down car was parked in front of their building. Not only parked, but clearly fixed. The hood was closed. There was a red bow on the roof, and tucked under the windshield wiper was an envelope. Sarah ran downstairs in her pajamas, not caring about the cold. She grabbed the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a repair receipt marked paid in full and a handwritten note on expensive cardstock. "Your car's transmission was completely shot. I had it replaced and added a full inspection and tune-up. Consider a Christmas gift for Mia. No repayment necessary. N.B." Sarah stared at the receipt. The total cost was over $4,000. She looked up and down the street, half expecting to see Nicholas Blackwood's Range Rover, but the street was empty except for families heading to church and kids playing in the snow. Why would he do this? He didn't know her. He'd just met her. Unless... Sarah's stomach dropped. She pulled out her phone and Googled Blackwood Industries acquisition. The news articles confirmed her fear. 3 weeks ago, Blackwood Industries had acquired Meridian Marketing and laid off 40% of the staff to eliminate redundancy. She'd been one of those 40%. Nicholas Blackwood had to know that. The way he looked at her address, the recognition in his eyes. He knew exactly who she was. This wasn't kindness. This was guilt. Sarah crumpled the note in her fist. She didn't want his guilt money. She didn't want his charity. She wanted her job back. She wanted to provide for her daughter without handouts from billionaires who destroyed lives with spreadsheets and then tried to buy forgiveness with car repairs. But as Mia came running down the stairs, squealing with joy about their car being fixed, Sarah couldn't bring herself to be angry. Not on Christmas. Not when Mia was smiling for the first time in weeks. She'd deal with Nicholas Blackwood later. 2 days after Christmas, Sarah's phone rang with an unknown number. "Hello, Miss Mitchell. This is Jennifer from Blackwood Industries Human Resources." Sarah's grip tightened on the phone. "Yes. We'd like to offer you a position in our marketing department. Senior marketing strategist. The salary is $90,000 annually, full benefits, and flexible remote work options. Are you interested?" Sarah's mind reeled. This was more than she'd made at Meridian. This was a promotion, not just a replacement job. "I need to think about it," Sarah heard herself say. "Of course. We'd need an answer by January 2nd. Happy holidays, Miss Mitchell." The line went dead. Sarah sat in stunned silence. This was Nicholas Blackwood's doing. It had to be. The timing was too convenient. He'd fired her, fixed her car, and now he was hiring her back at a higher position with better pay. Why? Sarah called the number on his business card before she could talk herself out of it. It went straight to voicemail. "Mr. Blackwood, this is Sarah Mitchell. I got a job offer from your company today. I don't know what game you're playing, but I don't need your pity. I don't need you to fix my life because you feel guilty about the acquisition. I just needed someone to help me on Christmas Eve, and you did, and I'm grateful. But this," her voice cracked, "this is too much. I can't accept a job I didn't earn." She hung up, breathing hard. 5 minutes later, Her phone rang. Nicholas Blackwood. "Miss Mitchell," he said, his voice as controlled as ever. "That job offer has nothing to do with Christmas Eve." "I don't believe you." "Then let me explain. When we acquired Meridian, I personally reviewed every employee file before approving the layoffs. Yours stood out. You increased client retention by 30% over 2 years. You pitched 3 campaigns that became their top revenue generators. You should have been promoted years ago, but Meridian's management was incompetent. When they gave me the list of people to cut, your name was on it. I took it off. Twice. They put it back on, citing budget constraints." Sarah was silent, processing this. "I approved the layoffs," Nicholas continued, "but I flagged your file. I told HR to reach out after the holidays with an offer. That was decided 3 weeks ago, Miss Mitchell. Christmas Eve just happened to occur in between. And the car," Sarah challenged. "The car was because a child needed medication, and I have the means to help. Nothing more complicated than that." Sarah wanted to believe him, but she'd learned how to trust people, especially powerful people, especially men. "I'll think about the offer," she said. "That's all I ask." He hung up. Sarah spent New Year's Eve researching Nicholas Blackwood. The internet painted a picture of a man who'd built his empire from nothing. Orphaned at 15, put himself through MIT, started Blackwood Industries at 23. Now, at 36, he was worth billions. But there was something else in the articles, buried deep in an interview from 4 years ago. "My younger sister died of epilepsy when she was 7. Nicholas had said, I was 12. We couldn't afford her medication. By the time we got emergency assistance, it was too late. Everything I've built since then has been, in some way, try to go back and save her." Sarah closed her laptop, tears streaming down her face. He hadn't helped them because of guilt about the acquisition. He'd helped them because of a little girl who died 24 years ago. A little girl who was probably Mia's age. A little girl whose medication had been out of reach, just like Mia's had been on Christmas Eve. Sarah picked up her phone. "Mr. Blackwood? This is Sarah Mitchell. I'd like to accept the position." Sarah's first day at Blackwood Industries was January 7th. She expected awkwardness, maybe resentment from colleagues who'd know she got special treatment. Instead, she was welcomed warmly. Her direct manager, Patricia, was brilliant and kind. Her team was talented and collaborative. And Nicholas Blackwood was nowhere to be seen. Sarah worked for 3 weeks without encountering him once. She began to relax, to believe maybe this was just a job after all. She was good at it. She earned her place. The Christmas Eve encounter became a strange, dreamlike memory. Then, on a Friday afternoon, Patricia called her into a conference room. Nicholas Blackwood was there. "Miss Mitchell," he said with a slight nod. "Patricia tells me your campaign pitch for the Nexus account was exceptional." "Thank you," Sarah managed. "I'd like you to present it to the client next week." "With me?" Sarah's mouth went dry. "With you? I handle the Nexus account personally. If your pitch is as strong as Patricia says, we'll close a $15 million contract." Patricia beamed at Sarah. "This is a huge opportunity." Sarah looked at Nicholas. His expression was unreadable, professional, but something in his eyes reminded her of that snowy night, of the way he'd looked at Mia with such careful gentleness. "I'd be honored," Sarah said. They spent the next week preparing. Sarah quickly learned that Nicholas Blackwood was nothing like the cold, ruthless CEO the media portrayed. He was meticulous, yes, demanding, absolutely, but he was also fair. He listened to her ideas. He pushed her to think bigger. When she doubted herself, he reminded her of her track record. "You increased retention by 30% at a company that didn't deserve you," he said during one late-night prep session. "Imagine what you can do at a company that does." Sarah found herself looking forward to their meetings, found herself noticing details. The way he rolled up his sleeves when he was deep in thought, the rare smile when she made a good point, the coffee he brought her without asking, made exactly how she liked it. This was dangerous territory. The presentation went flawlessly. They landed the $15 million contract. The Nexus CEO shook Sarah's hand and said, "You've got a gift. Don't let this company waste it." Nicholas walked her to her car that evening. It was snowing again, fat flakes like Christmas Eve. "Thank you," Sarah said, "for believing in me." "I didn't believe in you," Nicholas replied. "I recognized what was already there." They stood in the parking garage, snow drifting to the open sides, the space between them charged with something neither acknowledged. "Can I ask you something?" Sarah said softly. "Anything." "That night, Christmas Eve, did you know who I was when you stopped?" Nicholas was quiet for a long moment. "Yes." Sarah's heart sank. So it had been guilt after all. "I recognize your car from the employee parking lot footage I'd reviewed during the acquisition," Nicholas continued. "I knew you'd been laid off. I knew you were struggling. But that's not why I stopped, Sarah." He took a step closer, and Sarah forgot how to breathe. "I stopped because I saw a woman standing in a blizzard, waving her arms for help, and I remember being 12 years old and helpless while my sister died. I stopped because no one should be that desperate and that alone. I stopped because it was the right thing to do." He paused. "The fact that it was you was just the universe giving me a chance to correct a wrong I couldn't fix any other way. The job," Sarah started, "was yours before I ever met you. The car was because of Mia. And this," he gestured between them, "this terrifies me because I don't do this. I don't get close to employees. I don't blur lines. But with you, Sarah, every line is already blurred and I can't seem to care." Sarah's hands were shaking. "I have a 5-year-old daughter. I know. I'm a mess. I cry at night. I'm barely holding my life together. I know that too. Then why?" Sarah whispered. Nicholas smiled, and it transformed his entire face. "Because you're the first person in 10 years who's made me remember what it feels like to want something more than success. And because Mia asked Santa to make you stop crying, I'd like to help with that, if you'll let me." Sarah laughed through her tears. "This is the worst idea. Probably. We work together. We'll figure out." "Nicholas." "Say yes, Sarah." And she did. 6 months later. Mia ran through the Blackwood Industries lobby like she owned the place, her little backpack bouncing. Nicholas scooped her up mid-run, spinning her around. "Uncle Nick." "Hey, troublemaker. How was the doctor?" "Boring," Mia pronounced. "But Mama says my seizures are totally controlled now. I haven't had one in 4 months. That's my girl." Nicholas set her down, and she immediately ran to the receptionist to show off a drawing she'd made. Sarah walked in behind her daughter, shaking her head. "She's going to get you fired for disrupting workplace productivity." "I'm the CEO. Who's going to fire me?" "The board." "Me. Take your pick." But Sarah was smiling. Nicholas pulled her close, right there in the lobby, not caring who saw. "How was the appointment, really?" "Perfect. Dr. Hassan says she's thriving. The new medication combination is working. She's healthy, Nicholas." He closed his eyes, resting his forehead against hers. "Good." They'd been dating for 4 months. Publicly, officially, with HR approval and everything properly documented. Patricia had been thrilled. The board had been surprisingly supportive. And Mia had taken to calling Nicholas Uncle Nick within 2 weeks of their first official date. It wasn't perfect. Nicholas worked too much. Sarah still had moments of panic about money, even though she no longer needed to. They argued about boundaries and work-life balance, and whether Mia was too young to know they were dating. But it was real. It was theirs. And it started on a snowy Christmas Eve when 2 desperate people found each other in the dark. "Mama, Uncle Nick, look," Mia called out, pointing at the lobby Christmas tree. "It's snowing again." They looked out the floor-to-ceiling windows. Fat, heavy flakes, just like that night. Nicholas took Sarah's hand. "Come on." "Where are we going?" "Outside. We have a tradition to start." They bundled Mia up and went out into the snow. Right there, in front of Blackwood Industries, with employees watching from the windows and the city rushing around them, Nicholas pulled out a small velvet box. Sarah's breath caught. "It's not what you think," Nicholas said quickly. "Open it." Inside wasn't a ring. It was a silver snowflake pendant on a delicate chain. "I want to marry you, Sarah Mitchell," Nicholas said quietly. "I want to be Mia's stepfather. I want to build a life with you both. But I know it's too soon. I know we need more time. So this is a promise. When you're ready, when Mia's ready, when the time is right, I'll ask you properly. But for now, I just wanted you to know, you're it for me, both of you. You have been since that snowy night." Sarah couldn't speak. She just nodded as he fastened the necklace around her throat. Mia tugged on Nicholas's coat. "Does this mean you're going to be my dad?" Nicholas crouched down to her level. "Would you like that?" Mia threw her arms around his neck. "I asked Santa for two things last year. For Mama to stop crying, and for a dad who stays. I got both." Nicholas looked up at Sarah, his eyes bright with emotion. Sarah mouthed, "I love you." He mouthed back, "I know." And there, in the snow, the three of them held each other while the city moved around them, and the universe smiled at a wrong made right, a life saved, and a family built from the wreckage of a broken-down car on Christmas Eve. Because sometimes the worst nights lead to the best beginnings. And sometimes a stranger in the snow turns out to be exactly what you needed all along. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button. Every day, I bring you new stories about unexpected love, second chances, and the moments that change everything. Drop a comment telling me, have you ever been helped by a stranger? What happened? And if you want more stories like this, give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the darkest nights lead to the brightest beginnings.